everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Angie from Feeling a Little Bookish. My scenery is a little different. I'm still on a brown chair and I'm still in a beige background wall. And my hair, I'm trying this top knot situation. Anyway, I'm a little late with my July wrap up as well as my August one, but you know, it's what it is. Summertime was a little bit crazy for me with the kids, and just like things were planned and then I had to keep them entertained and all this stuff. Anyway, so yeah, let's get started. The first book in July that I read, actually, before I start, I read 7 books in July. I don't know what's with 7. May I read 7, June I read 7, July I read 7, August I read 7. It's not like I plan to read 7, considering in like March I read 13, and I don't know, it's just, I don't know. But anyway, it's just how many I read by the end of the month, so it is what it is. Yeah, so the first book that I read in July was Savage, which is book 1 in the Savage Falls. Ooh, the sun just went down and now here's my glare and my glasses. Anyway, book 1 of the Savage Falls Sinners MC series by Caitlyn. Basically, the book is about Sadie, who is the princess of the Savage Falls Sinners MC. Her dad is the president, and she, she is friends with a few of the motorcycle club members. One of them, his name is Dane. They've known each other since they were children, considering Dane was dropped. Basically, he was dropped at the front door of the compound. He was left there, and you know, he didn't have family and all that. They know who his mom was, I believe. I read this book 2 months ago. Anyway, he didn't have any real family. His mom was considered trash, but anyway, so he's been around the motorcycle club. The sun keeps going up and down. That's what my lighting's changing. And then there's Rhett. So Rhett Savage he's actually like the namesake of the motorcycle club. So it was his great-grandfather or grandfather that created the motorcycle club along with a family member of Sadie's, I believe. So he's like, you know, the bad boy. He's like kind of, I mean, they're all the bad boy. I mean, yes, they're all motorcycle club members, but that doesn't mean that they're all really terrible people. Am I justifying this? Anyway, he's like the closed off one, the one that doesn't talk a lot. He just is there to do his job, and you know, he's like the right hand man for the president, Sadie's dad, and one day he's gonna take over the motorcycle club. So anyway, there's been threats, you know, amongst the club from a rival club, and so Rhett and Dane are assigned by Sadie's dad to go along with her to school, to high school, which they, you know, Rhett is like, ugh, I don't want to do this, but Dane is actually looking forward to, you know, being in a normal setting in school, and he believes that he is going to do, you know, more beyond just being at the motorcycle club, but he will always want to be a member. So anyway, so they have to be with her and Rhett's sister River and Sadie's cousin Quinn, and they gotta be around with them at school. So there's a jock, and his name is Wes, and he's always had a thing for Sadie. But you know, he's a jock. His dad hates the motorcycle club, and so you know, nothing really happens. It's just a crush until some happenings happen, and Wes is then taken under the Sinner's MC wing, and this is where the reverse harem situation comes into play. But Sadie doesn't have to choose because she you know is has fallen for all three of the guys. But in the first book, because I've now read all three. Anyway, in the first book, it's hard for her to understand what she likes about Wes when he's like the complete opposite of what she would usually go for in a guy. So there's that. It ends on a cliffhanger as well. Something happens to Sadie, and it happens right after she actually meets up with Wes, so that doesn't look too good. Anyway, the second book that I read is Kiss to Defy by Anna B. Doe, and this is about Ray, who is a figure skater, and Zane, who is a hockey player at the university, Blairwood University, I believe it's called. So Ray, Ray literally almost crashes into Zane. So she's on her way to university. So she's a world champion figure skater, and her dad, just wants her to keep going on that path, but she wants a normal university life. Like, she just wants to be normal. So she made a deal with her dad to continue her skating, but she also wanted to do kind of a regular university course load. I mean, it's not the full 100%, but I believe it was like 25%. Whereas the rest of her time would be focused on figure skating. So that was the agreement. And anyway, so on her first day, she's driving to campus, and she literally almost knocks Zane over with her car. Anyway, her roommates, that night they take her out, and lo and behold, Zane happens to be in that circle of friends. So they spend time together, and they get close, and he's black and she is white and Asian, so there's that bit of diversity, and there are some issues that deal with his race that her family isn't so agreeing upon, and also people in the town. Anyway, so it was definitely a slow burn. I think I got, I want to say 50 or 60% of the book in before there was any sort of actual like progression. But it didn't, because of the slow burn, it's not like you got lost reading it. It was a really good story, and like their characters were written in a way that you needed to know their backstories. You need to know how they would progress together as friends, and then eventually into something else. So yeah, and that was a good book. It's also in the Blairwood University world, so there are characters in the book from previous books in the series. The third book that I read was Wonderland by Scarlett. This one centers around Ryan and Simone. Simone is the daughter of I wouldn't say she basically, her mom works for Ryan's family at their house, and like inside the house, I believe she's like a maid or a chef. I can't remember. But Ryan comes from a wealthy family, and Simone, being a daughter of the employee that works for the family, there's like, his mom is not really, she doesn't think anything would happen. Anyway, so Ryan asked Simone to be his tutor because Simone's, good in school, and Ryan needs help. So she's tutoring Ryan, and then there's something there, and he recognizes that there's something there. But they've known each other since they were kids as well. So it's not like they're teenagers and it's like, oh my God, I need a tutor. But anyway, so she tutors him and, they have a connection. They start dating in secret. Unfortunately, Ryan's mom's not happy about that. And, at this point, Simone and her mother and her uncle move away. And then years pass, and Simone is, I believe she was in New York, and she comes across Ryan, and so, this is like the second time's a charm, but really it's not, because then things happen again, and then it goes into third time's a charm, and then finally things work out for them. But I mean, it just shows that sometimes life throws things in your direction that you're not ready for. Life was never perfect for them as a couple. It took a few tries, but eventually they got it, and then it was worth it. It was completely worth it. I cried, when they finally got together. It was like that. Wow. Here's what life has given me, and somehow I always find my way back to you. And I believe that that's a beautiful thing that someone can go through, even though in their situation it was super stressful at times. The fourth book that I read was Things I Wanted to Say but Never Did by Monica Murphy. This Okay, so it's like a dark romance bully high school situation. I believe they're in like senior year, from what I remember. It centers around Whit Lancaster. So his family actually owns Lancaster Prep, which is where Summer goes to do, I want to say, her last year. I could be thinking of another book. Anyway, they've known each other since they were 14. That's when they've met. That's not to say that they carried on a friendship or anything, because they didn't. That's just when they met. So she's back at school, and he's always had a thing for her. He's never forgotten them meeting when they were 14. So he basically tortures her. Not, like, I don't mean physically. He just wants to make it hell for her to be at that school. Because of like situations her mom put his family through as well. And it's like this whole thing. But you have to read it to find out, because I'm not going to give away, spoilers. There's also a journal of Summer's, and that comes into play in this novel. It was so hot. Now here's the thing. In high school, I'm pretty sure I've said this before too, I was never one to like the bad boy or the mean guy. I think it's just, I don't know, there's something, that I just didn't want to get involved with. But looking back, if there was a Wit at my school, I'm pretty sure I would have had a crush on him, because this guy, oh my God, he knows how to use his power, and like, when he finally admits to himself that he's in love with her, he takes care of her, and like, he doesn't let anything hurt her. And that is admirable for anyone, whether you're a bad guy or a good guy. If you can protect your woman, then I like you. The next book that I read was Rush. So I actually have a few of these books, but they're kind of like out of my reach right now, because I run out of space on my bookshelf. So I've had to pile books like in towers on the top of my bookshelf. So some of these were just at the top, so I was able to grab them. And some of them I have, and I'm like, I'm not pulling down my pile and then having it crash down on my head, and then I'm injured and there's nobody home. Anyway, the next book that I read was Rush by Brianna Hale. This has to do with Big Daddy Rush. He is the lead singer of a rock band. He's a bit older than the main character, Jeree. she is a choreographer. So there was some things that happened to her in her past that made her kind of shut down and move away from the spotlight. It had to do with a rival rock band, a rival rock band to Rush's band. It really got her down in the dumps because, she's good at being a choreographer, but the happenings that took place, the situations that took place, it really got her down, and she kind of just kept to herself and like choreographed things, in secret and whatnot. Anyway, Rush, he's tired of doing the same thing for his rock band, and so he wants to try something different. So he actually finds Dree, because she choreographed a music video, and he called around and figured out who she was and basically bombarded her until she said yes to choreographing their new music video. He took care of her. He loved her. He's like, it's daddy kink. So daddy kink is like this whole thing where, just look it up. But anyway, it has to do with taking care of the person, but they're calling you daddy and other things. Anyway, I liked it. It was my first daddy kink book. I can't complain. I like it. Rush was A1. Yeah. This is a good cover too. I'm not really lately I've been not paying attention to a lot of books that have naked guys on it. And I don't know why. And it sucks because it could be a really good book, but for some reason I've never been one to pay attention to the cover of books because I just like reading the blurb and figuring out if I'm gonna like it or not. But recently it's been like, oh, if I see like a half naked guy on the cover, I'm just gonna go, ugh, I don't want to read this. I'm gonna pass. Unless it's an author that I recognize and I know it's gonna be a good book. But I gotta get myself out of that funk because I don't want to discriminate against half naked man covers, especially if the actual content is good. Yeah. So the next book that I read was Poison by Jade West. This was my first Jade West read. It was it was really good. It was really filthy. So Poison has to do with Anna Blackwell. And she has epilepsy. But that came to fruition. It like happened in the front of her life, front and center of her life, when unfortunately a past love named Lucas left her. And I guess the stress from everything that breakup really wore her down, and that's when she realized that she has epilepsy. So anyway, 10 years have passed. She has a great job. She's sick and she has a perfect fiance. But he is not perfect. Anyway, she realizes that something's missing. You know what I mean? Like, she's at a restaurant one night with her fiance and she realizes every day is the same thing. It's like, okay, get up, he takes care of her. If she has a seizure, she goes to work, she comes back, they do the same thing. The sex isn't even good. It's like bleh, right? So she realized that she realized that that fire and that she misses, she only really got with Lucas. And so she breaks things off with her fiance and goes on the hunt for Lucas. Their story was not without drama, that's for sure. There's a lot of drama. the breakup didn't have to happen. And I wish there was some communication. But then I think about the fact that some guys, just men on a whole level, some of them just don't communicate effectively. And I think this is that case. Because it could have been resolved. But then you want to have a story as well, right? The sex scenes were super filthy. And I'm talking like, I don't even know. I guess the one thing that sticks out in my mind is I didn't know that underwear, so like women's underwear, could be used in the way that it was used in this book. I'm gonna leave it at that. And the final book that I read for July was Sacrifice, which is book 2 in the Savage Falls Sinners MC series by Caitlyn. This one continues off of the cliffhanger that book 1 Savage ended in, and it's just, again, like navigating Sadie, Wes, Rhett's, and Dane's relationship together. It does end on another cliffhanger, and I've realized in book 1 I truly liked Dane. In book 2 I truly liked Dane, and I feel like Dane is that one that gets my attention the most out of the guys. Again, she doesn't have to choose. She's like, I'm going to be in a relationship with all 3 of these guys, including Wes, who the motorcycle club they're, you know, warming up to. They realize, listen, if we want to make, like Rhett and Dane realize, if we want to make Sadie happy and continue to have her in our life, then we need to accept Wes. I mean, if you can have 3 guys and stay sane and get what you need from all 3 of them, like, you know, different emotions are fulfilled, I mean, why not, right? It's a book after all. But I don't think I cannot even handle one man on some days, okay? So kudos to Sadie for handling 3. But yeah, that's it for my July wrap up. I will leave the names of the books that I read in the description below, as well as a link to my Instagram where you can actually read my reviews for all of these books that are mentioned. And thanks.